For more on this, John Gong, professor of economics, University of International Business and Economics in Beijing. Good to see you, John. This China reopening, I don't want to make it controversial because it's really not. It's things are getting back to normal, but you still have the COVID and things are trying to get back to normal. What's happening there on the ground?
Yeah, well, let me first say that the difference between the custom data, which pretty much drives the exports data we're seeing right now, with the difference between that data with usually the statistics data in China. I know some people are skeptical about the statistics data coming out of China, but this is actually custom data. It's based on real reported transactions going through the customs. So there's no way that this data cannot be unreliable. So it's absolutely real data, I would put it this way. So I think what happens right now is that the COVID situation in the past 2 or 3 months has been mostly impacting the service sector. I mean, the manufacturing sector is still very much supported by the government, even amid the very, restricted COVID control policies during the last 3 months. So, and of course, the export sector has been, really shining, one of the shining spots of China's economy. I mean, it never fails to surprise people. Like month after month, has been delivering, just amazing results. So it tells how much resilient China's exports sector is, and how much competitive the export sector is coming from China's.
I mean, look, John. I mean, look, the whole world wants China's reopening to go quickly because the whole world's dealing with inflation. So the faster the factories can get going, the faster the ships can get loaded and shipped to the rest of the world. I'm going to speak for the world. I think the world, that's what they want. They just want things back to normal. How long do you think it will take to get there?
Well, that's a tough question, actually. I think it still very much hinges upon the central government's policy. The fact of the matter is that this new variant is still very contagious. You still see reports of cases here and there in this city, in that city. I think it's probably very, very difficult to entirely get rid of this. And you can see that most of the world have been opening up right now. But I think it's just a matter of time that the central government policy will have to change. And if you look at the exports data, it's very strong, but import data, it's still very anemic in my view. And there's a reason, because the economy hasn't really come back, very much due to the policies, and it's going to probably take some time. But I think, as you know it, it's going to be a very important political event towards the end of the year. And I think at most, let me put it this way, after that political event, definitely China's economy is going to open.
Yeah, and this is not political. This is just very frustrating for the world. I know it's frustrating for China too. Everybody wants things back to normal. I think you're following this story as well. President Biden, we talked about this last week, spoke with his Chinese counterparts about perhaps cutting or reducing or eliminating some of the tariffs that I know the Chinese hated. Where does Beijing stand on that particular issue, and do you think that this will be helpful, or it's a good thing, right?
Yeah, so of course, from Beijing's point of view, removing these tariffs will certainly be a good thing. But as we know it is still very much debate within the Biden administration. And reportedly, USTR, Catherine Tai is against it, Sullivan is against it. But I tell you what, the Beijing government sees that the impact in the last 2 years of these tariffs on Chinese exports has been, very minimal. And the United States trade with China hasn't been really impacted at all by these tariffs. As a matter of fact, the trade in 2021 is actually much, much better than 2020. And the first 6 months of trade in this year is actually much better than last year. So I think from Beijing's perspective, removing these tariffs would be good for them. But if you don't, what's the big deal here? So I think that's probably China's position at this point.
John, appreciate the frank discussion and always your analysis on this important trade relations between U.S. and China. John Gong, staying up late for us. Thank you very much. We'll see you again soon, sir.